Good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Jackie Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Caroline Joroge. Now, to kick off the broadcast, a section of United Nations peace ambassadors has condemned politicians allegedly inciting violence and employing hired goons to disrupt public gatherings, warning that such actions threaten the country's peace and stability. While in Nairobi, the ambassadors called on Kenyan youth to resist manipulation by political actors, terming the recent violent incidents, including the attacks by suspected goons at All Saints Cathedral, as a threat to national security.
Wale watu wanabagua watu, mtu asiishi Karau, mtu asiishi Nairobi, asiishi Nakuru, kila mtu aishi kila mahali.
Kila mtu ambaye ni Mkenya utaweza kuishi mahali popote bila ubaguzi wote, bila ubaguzi ya rangi, na hiyo ni kitu ambayo sasa inakubalika kisheria. So wakati huu niko Nairobi na ninajihisi niko sawa nikiwa Nairobi.
The one that invaded All Saints Cathedral, you see, then there's abuse in the church, stealing people in the church. And the government has, through the gadgets that sees people through, the CCTV, they should be able to apprehend these people.
A section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have defended the government against claims of issuing IDs to foreign nationals in a bid to manipulate the next polls. Led by Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheruiyot, they argued the irregular issuance of identity cards to foreign nationals was perpetuated by the former regime. Speaking in Kericho County, Cheruiyot said about 300,000 eligible residents lack national IDs, claiming voter suppression. He further called for equal access to identification cards for all Kenyans. The leaders also accused critics of spreading divisive narratives.
Kiongozi siku moja wewe ukiamka useme wale watu wanotista na ambao wanapata IDs ni Al-Shabaab. Wewe mwenyewe you are a tribal person. Wewe mwenyewe ni propagandist number 1. Wewe mwenyewe badala ya sisi kutengenezewa vitu mmetuzoea sana.
Hii watu wamekosa agenda kabisa. Sasa wameanza kuzunguka na maneno ya fitina. Kuna Wakenya wengi sana ambao walikuwa wananyimwa vitambulisho kwa sababu za kiujinga. Na tunajua ile ukora ambayo mlikuwa mnafanya. Hata hapa Kericho, because of voter suppression, we have nearly 300,000 citizens who are over the age of 18 but they don't have IDs. Sababu wakienda kwa chief wanaulizwa maswali mingi, baba yako ni nani, mama yako ni nani, na watoto wengine pengine hawajui.
In other news, the government has rolled out a food distribution exercise in Tana River County to cushion families displaced by recent flooding. Special Programs Principal Secretary Ismail Maalim Made led the emergency response targeting vulnerable households in Kitere and Samicha villages within Garsen constituency. The PS noted that both national and county governments are actively assessing the region's preparedness and strengthening mitigation measures following an El Nino alert by the Meteorological Department. Maalim reaffirmed the government's commitment to ensuring affected communities receive timely support, urging residents in low-lying, flood-prone zones to heed early warning evacuation advisories before the enhanced rainfall begins. The Principal Secretary was accompanied by area legislator Ali Wario alongside other national and county leaders.
Na rais ametupea amri tulete msaada ya chakula na vifaa vingine kama mheshimiwa alisema, kama mabati na hata chakula ya watoto ile ya malnutrition, na akatuamuru mheshimiwa kwamba wale households hawajakuwa settled wote tufanye kwa haraka na tuweze kuwa settle ile familia 3,000 wewe ulisema.
Shukuru rais wetu. Saa hii ameanza kununua ardhi kwa watu wa ranches. Ameanza na ranchi moja inaitwa Konedertu. Saa hii ataenda Kibusu, Kitangale. Yani watu wakuwe resettle katika high ground na wapewe title deed.
Now, the second edition of Tamasha la Ulimbwende, Kiswahili, hosted in Makeni School, Kisumu, has been lauded for its contribution in improving the Swahili subject and language in the country. The event created a platform for students to express the charisma areas such as delivering speech, debates, and acting through the Swahili language. They urged the government to ensure the language is not only used in schools but also in other spheres of development.
Kiswahili, kusherekea Kiswahili na utamaduni wetu wa Kiafrika, hasa katika jimbo hili la Afrika Mashariki.
Sema kwamba hii ni hatua kubwa sana, maana hasa ikichukuliwa mwelekeo ambao wanafunzi wengi huwa nao na hata wazazi, mwelekeo kuhusu Kiswahili, wengi wamekuwa na mwelekeo hasi.
Kuandika insha tumefunzwa katika madarasa na walimu wetu siku hii. Pia tumefunzwa wahusika katika vitabu zenye tunafaa tusome kama vile Wema Hauozi.
Preparations are top gear at KBC National Polytechnic ahead of its 3-day 4th International Research Conference, Skills Competition, Innovation and Career Expo set to take place from 17th June. Speaking ahead of the event, KBC National Polytechnic Chief Principal Dr. Patrick Mushemi said the conference will focus on market-ready skills, employability, innovation, sustainable development, and career pathways for learners transitioning from high school to tertiary institutions and the job market. He said the event will provide a platform to showcase innovative solutions, promoting skills development, and strengthening collaboration between training institutions and industry players.
So this is a very good activity that will bring together the learners and the economy outside there, the industry together, so that we are able to interact with this theme of transforming TVET in Kenya for market-ready skills, employability, and sustainable development.
We are prepared. We are going to have the high school students. So far, 20 schools have confirmed their attendance, whereby we want to come and impact them on the knowledge on various career pathways that we have. And we're also going to have employing agencies who are going to be around, who are going to connect our students to the job market together with internship.
And still on education matters, parents have been called upon to take greater responsibility in instilling discipline and good morals in their children amid growing concern over rising cases of unrest in schools across the country. Leaders in Kilifi County say the increasing incidence of school indiscipline, including cases of arson, have become a major concern and require the active involvement of parents and guardians. The concern follows a series of unrest incidents reported in schools across the country.
Sasa mwenzangu, njoo ukae na mtoto wako ili kwamba hizi shule ambazo tumezijenga wakati wa Kazukambi, zile shule ambazo tumezijenga huu wakati huu tuko na PK ziwe salama, kwa sababu hawa watoto wamekuwa zaidi ya magaidi. Na nakwambia hivi, kama mtoto wako ni gaidi, mtoe na mapema.
Operations zenye zinafanywa Malindi, Takoneni, alafu watoto wao wakora wengine wanakuja kujificha huku. Tafadhali peana report kwa mzee wa kijiji, peana report kwa assistant chief, alafu sisi tutakuja tunamchukua penye anafaa kuwa.
Now, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties has conducted a training on electoral preparedness for political party officials based in Uasin Gishu County. The training is meant to equip them with knowledge on the legal and regulatory framework governing political parties in Kenya, laws governing elections, the Electoral Code of Conduct, among other key areas. The training also covered the compliance areas that ORPP looks at and expects political parties to abide by these compliance areas. It shed light on the Political Parties Fund and the criteria that political parties are subjected to qualify for the Political Parties Fund. IEBC also announced that they are now preparing for the next enhanced continuous voter registration, which will come towards the end of the year.
This training is key that it will equip political party officials with the knowledge they need in ensuring that they are leading political parties in their counties well. The training entails taking the officials through the registration process just to appreciate the journey that political parties move from the first step of name search and submission of particulars to the last stage of full registration.
We are now preparing for the next ECVR2, which will come towards the end of the year. And ours is to inform all political parties, all interested stakeholders, to assist us in conveying information to our electorates.
Christian religious leaders in Peketoni, Lamu County have expressed concern over the state of security in the country, warning that rising political tensions could threaten peace ahead of the 2027 general election. The clergy cited political extremism and hooliganism during public gatherings as key contributors to insecurity. They also call for the reopening of night travel along the Garsen-Witu Mokowe Highway to be guided by security assessments. The leaders further raised concern over recent cases of school unrest and called on the government to strengthen security measures to address emerging threats.
Na hata sana wazazi ambao wamewapeleka wanafunzi shuleni kusoma, jambo hili ni jambo ambalo linafaa kuchukuliwa hatua, hata kama itawezekana kufunga shule za mabweni, ili kwamba mwanafunzi yule apate kusoma na akishasoma amrudie mzazi wake.
Wakati huu kwamba viongozi wetu wa kisiasa kuna cheche mingi ambazo wanarushiana, na kama wananchi wa kawaida mambo haya tunaona ya kwamba yanaweza kuleta hali ya taharuki, watu kuinukiana na hatimaye kuweza kufanyana mambo mabaya.
Inaweza kuwa na faida ya kiuchumi, lakini kama security haijapeana go ahead, kama bado kuna madoadoa, inaonekana kuna giza katika upande wa security, ikifunguliwa itakuwa ni hatari kwetu kama wakaazi wa kaunti hii.
And now on to health matters. Clinical officers in Kwale County have resumed work after a more than 30-day strike. The resumption follows a 12-hour meeting in which an agreement was struck, with the county government agreeing to implement 6 of its demands. Among the demands of the clinicians was the payment of arrears, career progression and additional recruitment, and a clear, actionable implementation framework for the signed collective bargaining agreement, which experienced delayed adoption.
Kupitia kwa waziri wa afya Aden Duale atekeleze wajibu wake na hakikisha kwamba pesa zote ambazo hawajaweza kulipwa wamelipwa miaka 6 yote.
Hivyo sisi bado tutabaki pale pale, hatutaki mambo ya contract. Kile tunataka tu tupate permanent and pensionable.
Baliano yenye tutaenda kuweka kwa sasa, tunaweza elewana vizuri na tukamaliza huu mgomo.
Elsewhere, residents and boda operators in Gachibine, Central Imenti constituency in Meru County have protested the poor state of the road linking Gachibine Market and Marimanti Market in Tharaka-Nithi County. The residents say the road has remained in a deplorable condition for years, affecting transport and economic activities in the area. Movement through the road has become difficult and has increased the cost of doing business. Boda operators say they are forced to spend more money due to the constant wear and tears due to the poor road. Farmers say the transportation of their produce to markets has been hampered, while access to schools and health facilities remain a challenge. The residents are now calling on the authorities to urgently intervene and upgrade the road to improve connectivity and boost economic activities.
Sisi tumejitokeza kama vijana kutetea haki yetu. Kitu ya kwanza, kama hii barabara tulitetea itengenezwe, andi wa saa hii hatengenezwa. Alisema atakuja kutuwekea maalam na andiko. andi mpaka sasa tutengenezea.
Tunabeba makastoma, ukiambia customer umbebe kutoka hapa kwenda huko Kiamuli, alipe kama ni so 3 hivyo. Anakwambia haezi juu hata yeye anajua barabara ni short distance na compared with kutoka hapa kwenda hapo, hata unaona hiyo pesa ifai, lakini kulingana na venye barabara ziko haezi enda. So ndo tunaambia mheshimiwa wetu aje akuja atutengenezee barabara yetu ikuwe sawa.
Youth from Majengo Estate in Kajiado Town have cited unemployment and lack of parental guidance as major factors are fueling the growing use of drugs and substance abuse in the area. They say the vice has become deeply entrenched in the settlement and is increasingly affecting young people across various parts of Kajiado County. Speaking during an anti-drug awareness walk organized by MIPS College in Kajiado Town, the youths admitted that the lack of employment opportunities has left many of them frustrated and vulnerable to substance abuse. They have called for intervention to solve the problems facing the youth in the area.
Kumeharibika kabisa. Juu ni majobless. Angalia hata watu wako hapa wote hawana kazi. Nani ako na kazi hapa?
Pombe tu ndio nataka tuangalie tu. By the way, hatuko poa.
Hii pombe inamaliza watoto wetu. Na mkisimama hapa mnaangalia kweli kabisa watoto wanaumia.
Darati naona imesumbua vijana wengi sana mpaka wamesahau mafamilia yao na hata wamesahau kuendelea katika masomo yao.
Nafikiri hili ni wazo zuri kama kichuo hiki kimeweza kujiunga na community na idara zingine ili kuweza kueneza ujumbe wa nidhamu.
The Last Mile Connectivity Program has been hailed as a game changer in Migori County, with residents noting the expanded access to electricity has breathed new life into businesses and overall productivity in the region. Migori County received 1.9 billion shillings under the Last Mile Connectivity Program to expand electricity access. Beneficiaries like Eddie Onura of Wayagi village say electricity has transformed their lives. Onura has invested in poultry farming and animal feed production since being connected to the national grid. Several villages in Awendo sub-county are also set to benefit with power infrastructure already in place. Residents hope the project will improve access to services and create economic opportunities for the region.
Watoto wetu walikuwa wanasumbuana sana. Na sasa hii stima imekuja, watoto watakuwa wanatumia stima kusoma.
Personally, I'm using the electricity on feed production because I make my own feed. I have the mixer there, I have the miller, and I have the high-speed chaff cutter. So being that electricity is there, it has now become also a benchmark to other farmers. Let me go and see how these feeds are being manufactured and produced. So there we really appreciate, and that is how we see the electricity, how it is beneficial to the community or to an individual.
Junior secondary school learners at Msedo Beijing School in Mathare, Nairobi County, have received educational gifts and inspirational exposure to science and creativity from well-wishers. Additionally, the students had an opportunity to watch an educational film on astronauts and space exploration, as well as participated in painting activities to nurture innovation under the competence-based education framework. Teachers at the school noted the engagement complemented classroom learning by providing practical experience that build confidence and nature talent.
Jua hii kwanza mimi nafikiri siku ya watoto duniani inapofika. Kwa hivyo nikikuja hapo lazima nafikiri ningeleta zawadi. Na pia nafikiri filamu ni watoto wanayoipenda sana. Labda wanataka kutazama filamu kuliko nikiongea maneno mbalimbali, labda filamu itawafanya wanaweza kuelewa vizuri kuhusu mambo mbalimbali ya China, hasa mambo ya teknolojia.
Technology in advance. So watu shule wanafaa wafundishwe that thing. Hizi mambo za technology, wajue vile huko space kuko vitu ziko aje. So kwa mashule I think zinafaa zikuwe introduced. It's not all about hizi basic subjects and everything. Wanafaa wazi introduce ndo wakigrow wanajua ati kuna space huko, kuna watu wanaishi huko na kuna watu wanaenda. Yeah, I think something inafaa ikuwe introduced sana kwa KBC.
In other news, the government has reaffirmed its commitment in positioning the digital economy as a key driver of Kenya's economic growth by equipping young people with practical digital skills through technical and vocational education and training institutions. Speaking during the launch of Jitume Hub at Manyata Training and Vocational Center in Embu County, the Principal Secretary of State Department for ICT and the Digital Economy Engineer John Tanui stated that the government is implementing a series of measures aimed at accelerating the country's transition into a digital economy. The PS further revealed that President William Ruto has been engaging with the international partners in Europe to explore additional opportunities for strengthening Kenya's digital connectivity.
Activate institutions kama hapa Manyata tunaweka pia computers, na vile mulisikia concert team wakiongea, tumeshafanya almost now 350 digital hubs. Rais alicommit atafanya 100,000 kilometers of fiber. Kwa sasa tumeweza kufikisha almost 40,000 kilometers as part of the 100,000. Here in Kenya, this is an emerging area that before was not existing.
Meanwhile, preparations are underway for the International Day for the Elimination and Desertification and Drought, with stakeholders highlighting the need to address the effects of climate change, especially in dry lands and rangelands. Kenya will host this year's celebration in Kilifi County, an area affected by drought. Speaking to journalists, the Secretary to the Department of Environment and Climate Change Engineer Festus Ngeno emphasized the importance of marking the event in Kilifi due to its vulnerability to drought. Stakeholders stated that discussions will center on the restoration of pastures, dry lands, human-wildlife conflict, and safeguarding food security in affected areas.
The theme for this conference is about restoring, recognizing, and respecting rangelands. And Kilifi County being a rangeland, a dry or a nasal county, it fits into the theme of the global observance. This is not a national event, it is a global event. The entire world is coming to Kilifi to celebrate the World Drought and Desertification Day 2026.
The conversation we want to have is Kenya being almost 80% arid or semi-arid, is how we restore rangelands, how we make our environment productive, and how we start reproducing and ending desertification so that we can experience food security. Households that are otherwise pre-exposed can be restored and safeguarded from hunger and famine.
The long-awaited construction of Mandera's modern 10,000-seater stadium is set to commence after the county government officially handed over the project site to the Ministry of Defence. This paves way for the implementation of one of the region's largest sport infrastructure projects. Speaking during the handover, County Secretary Bilo Isaac described the project as a major milestone for Mandera's development, noting that the facility will create job opportunities for young people while promoting sports and talent development. The project, pledged by President William Ruto during his Nurture program visit to Mandera, is expected to transform the county's sporting landscape by providing a modern facility for athletes, youth, and the wider community.
We did the site handover together with the Ministry of Defence for construction of a 10,000-seater stadium. So Mandera Stadium will get a facelift, actually a complete construction of the stadium that will happen. It is anticipated that The construction period will take 9 months. The Mandera Stadium today was constructed a decade ago using the county resources, and now the county has agreed to hand over the project, and there will be a demolition of the existing structure, which is fully documented for that. And we anticipate, because the contractor who we are handing the site over to today is the same contractor who delivered the Wajir Stadium.
And now we shift our focus to municipal leaders across the country are calling on the national government to allocate part of the National Infrastructure Fund to cities and municipalities, citing growing urban population and increasing pressure on essential services. The leaders say inadequate funding has hindered infrastructure development, sanitation, waste management and emergency response in many urban centres. Speaking during the municipal forum in Naivasha, the leaders projected that half of Kenya's population would be living in urban areas within the next 2 decades, adding that the country's urbanization rate had reached 3.4%.
We are looking at a trajectory where within the next 20 years or so, over 50% of our people will be living in urban areas. And that one poses a big challenge in terms of resilience, in terms of being able to handle horizontal infrastructure, the challenges that I've had, one of you asked about waste management and so on and so forth.
Many challenges in our cities and our municipalities, as we had the case in Gilgil where we had a fire and we don't have an established fire station well developed. But I think all these small things like tragedies like that, accidents happening in the cities, in the towns, can be avoided if the municipalities are given the mandate, they are devolved properly so that they have resources.
Establishment of the Urban Development Fund, akin to what LATIV used to be, that a fund be established that will be a conditional grant to all municipalities and cities, so that the programs run in terms of sanitation, sewage system, urban roads, and even urban.
You're watching Lunchtime News. We take a short break and we shall be back with more news shortly.
The Salaries and Remuneration Commission, in collaboration with stakeholders, will host the National Productivity and Performance Conference to be held from 17 to 19 June 2026 at the Kenya School of Government in Nairobi under the theme Productivity for Fiscal Sustainability and Efficient Service Delivery. The conference will set the direction for a future where Kenya's public service is productive, efficient, and fiscally sustainable.
Over to this flank this time. Got two defenders in front of him. Lovely trickery from Diamanda. He still has it. Still Diamanda.
Oh, it's brilliant, elusive wing play from Diamanda. Just as he's looking like he's running down a dead end, two Ecuador players face him up. Casado comes over to try and deal with him. It's a really weak tackle from the Chelsea midfielder. He should be taking everything there. It doesn't. Diamanda wiggles free.
Dial star 977 hash or download My Power app to access Kenya Power services fast and easy. Kenya Power, nuru ya Kenya.
The FIFA World Cup 2026, hosted by the Triumvirate of Canada, Mexico and the United States of America, promises to be blissful. Explore the most exciting edition of the tournament to date as 48 teams from around the globe compete in 104 fixtures across 16 host cities. We celebrate culture, friendship, and more importantly, monetizing talent. At this first ever Tri-National World Cup from 11th of June to 19th of July 2026. Just like the formidable 10 African nations represented, be at the center of the FIFA World Cup 2026. 34 free-to-air matches live on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back. This is Lunchtime News. Geopolitical tensions, particularly the conflict in the Middle East, have emerged as the biggest threat to the growth of remittance inflows to Kenya. Central Bank of Kenya Research Director Professor Robert Mudida warns that Kenyans living in countries impacted by the conflict were already sending less money home, and remittance flows could decline further if impasse drags on.
Board remitted a record 650 billion shillings in 2025, according to a household survey released by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, underscoring the growing importance of diaspora inflows to the economy. However, Central Bank of Kenya officials warn that the growth in remittances could slow this year due to escalating conflict in the Middle East. The Middle East accounted for 104 billion shillings, or 12.4% of total remittance inflows, highlighting its significance as a source of foreign exchange.
A more extreme scenario, which if the war prolongs, let's say up to the end of the year, then you'll have a very, very difficult time. Our remittances, come from abroad, and you're talking about problematic economic prospects from many of those countries that were mentioned.
The survey confirms what many of us had long believed. Remittances are much more than financial transactions. They are investments in people, families, and community.
Speakers at the launch of the 2025 Remittances Household Survey report have identified high transaction costs as a major barrier to remittance inflows, despite the funds remaining one of Kenya's leading sources of foreign currency earnings.
And sub-Saharan Africa is the most expensive region, where it is close to 9%, so 3 times the target. We're 3 times more expensive than the target that was set. It is hard to talk about the role of digital channels for remittances and not talk about how any of the changes in policy that increase its cost can affect senders and recipients.
North America is the largest source of funds, followed by Europe and the Middle East region. Alan Auko, Lunchtime News.
Quality and continuous improvement are becoming increasingly important for organizations seeking to remain competitive in today's fast-changing business environment. We are now joined by Evelyn Okwero, Principal Officer at the Kenya Bureau of Standards, to discuss the role of Kenya Quality Award in driving excellence and improving performance. Now, to start us off, perhaps what makes the Kenya Quality Award a genuine business improvement tool rather than just another trophy?
Kenya possesses tremendous potential to increase
and it is a process where we appreciate and we recognize those institutions that are demonstrating excellence in their production, and by participating in the awards, you're able to evaluate and assess your processes and also add value to whatever it is that you're doing as an entity.
Perhaps how does the award help organizations improve performance and stay competitive?
Thank you. So in the awards, as we are undertaking the assessment and all that, there are definitely those benefits that would come out at the end of the process. First, you're able to help organizations to identify the gaps for improvement. So when these are identified and this is shared with you, then you're able to improve and hence improve your overall performance and efficiency, either in service delivery or in your production. You're also able to benchmark with leading organizations, and therefore you find that as you interact with other winners in the awards, you're able to learn from each other and grow as an organization, and with a greater focus on customer satisfaction and customer,
Okay, you mentioned gaps. Perhaps what common gaps or weaknesses do you see among organizations seeking to improve quality and efficiency?
So most of the organizations are actually doing what needs to be done, but there tends to be a gap when it comes to documentation and preservation of the evidences to prove that whatever it is that you've stated you're doing, you're actually doing it. So it's majorly on the documentation and preservation of evidences of the processes undertaken.
What measurable benefits can organizations expect from going through the assessment process?
When you go through the assessment process, if I could just mention briefly, the assessment would be based on the 7 principles of quality management. So there's customer focus, improvement, evidence-based decision making, process approach, stakeholder engagement and all that. And therefore, when you are assessed through all those categories or all that criteria, you tend to also learn because we share with you. It's not an assessment that is done on the back end, but we do have a conversation with you, and we give you also the opportunity to provide the evidences of the criteria being assessed on.
So perhaps beyond recognition, how does the award encourage a culture of continuous improvement?
Continuous improvement is an everyday activity, and how the awards would help you is, as I previously indicated, we take you through the assessment tool that will touch on the 7 principles, and therefore improvement is also one of them. You also get to demonstrate, and as the assessors are also engaging with you as an entity, you get to learn on how then you can even make your processes to be better.
And how do you ensure the assessment and judging process remains fair, independent, and credible?
Thank you. So we have 3 levels of the assessment. First level is where you do your own self-assessment, and you're able to rate yourself based on the different parameters. After that, then now we have got independent assessors, and before you're even selected as an assessor, you sign first the non-disclosure agreement, and also as we are allocating you institutions, if there is any that there's a conflict of interest, we also declare the conflict of interest. And so after now the assessors have done their desk assessment, these results of this assessment are then shared with an independent jury whose decision is final. So now the jury are also persons who are not affiliated with KBC in any way, and therefore this makes the process to be pretty credible.
Perhaps when it comes to top performing organizations, what qualities distinguish them from the rest?
What qualities distinguish them from the rest? The first and keymost is the customer focus. You find that they have a greater emphasis on ensuring that their customers are satisfied, even their relationship management basically is enhanced. And also, again, at the end of the day, it's the bottom lines. So you'll find that even their bottom lines are not on the deep end. They are making some profits or profit margins.
Okay. Now, with SMEs, perhaps why should they consider participating in the Kenya Quality Award?
For a very long time, the SMEs have always operated in the back end, in the background of everything. But here is an opportunity where we are bringing them out there to declare that I am here, opening my processes to you, assess them and let me improve. And therefore, the entire essence of this being an improvement and an excellence enhancing process, for an MSME, you would really benefit so much more when you participate, because we will give you the gaps, the areas of improvement, what you're doing right, what you need to enhance, and the networking with the industry. That is a great opportunity that I would encourage the MSMEs to take up.
Perhaps what misconceptions do businesses have about quality management and excellence frameworks?
We have this assumption that to implement quality is expensive. Whereas, if broken down into a nutshell, it's basically the processes that you do, but then now you get a better guidance on how to effectively and efficiently implement your processes. So the misconception that quality is expensive, truly quality is not expensive.
Okay. So perhaps how does quality management contribute to customer satisfaction and business growth?
The key focus of quality management is they're based on the principles of quality management, and the first one is the customer focus. So it ensures that an organization becomes more customer centric. You're able to have systems in place where you listen to your customers, where you address their concerns. And it's also important to note that we basically exist as entities to serve our customers. So if we can listen to them, everything else falls into place. When you have a satisfied clientele, everything else will just fall into place.
Okay. As we come to a close, perhaps what trends are you seeing in quality management among Kenyan organizations, and what would be your final message to organizations that are yet to embrace quality excellence frameworks?
What are they waiting for? Quality management is the way to go for any organization that seeks to remain afloat and seeks to be above the rest. And for the entities that have won previously, you can see. I mean, their clients are not complaining. They're those entities that even when you go to interact with them, you will feel the quality from when you get to the reception or even from the gate. So therefore, for organizations that have not yet enrolled for the Kenya Quality Awards 2026, my parting shot would be, this is the way to go if truly you are concerned and you're passionate about quality, about excellence, about being the top of the best. Then Kenya Quality Awards is the way to go.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was Evelyn Okwero, the Principal Officer at Kenya Bureau of Standards. Now we move on to other news. Kenya is set to host a continental event that will deliberate on infrastructure development, manufacturing capacity, and regional economic integration. Organizers of the Africa International Construction Machinery Expo 2026 say the forum will focus on promoting investment, technology transfer, industrialization, and trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Kenya possesses tremendous potential to increase exports of value-added products to China. I invite manufacturers, contractors, SMEs, distributors, investors, developers, farmers, industrial professionals, and the wider business community to attend and seize the opportunities before us. Come ready to discover new opportunities, build strategic partnership, explore investment opportunities, and identify new markets.
Coffee cooperatives should accelerate the digitization of their operations to improve efficiency, low transaction costs, and enhance traceability across the value chain. Cooperative Principal Secretary Patrick Kilemi says digital solutions are increasingly critical in meeting international market requirements and boosting confidence in Kenyan coffee. Kilemi is also challenging producers to strengthen compliance with global quality standards to improve access to export markets.
To reduce transaction costs, enhance traceability, and provide farmers with timely access to information. digital solutions are becoming increasingly important in meeting international market requirements and strengthening consumer confidence in our customers.
We cannot get these buyers alone. We need your support. Government and export promotion institutions can support regional participation and trade facilitation.
Fighting in Sudan erupted in April.
Three years of civil war, offering tentative signs of economic recovery despite widespread destruction across the country's industrial sector. Sudanese authorities have introduced tax incentives, eased administrative procedures and encouraged businesses to relocate to relatively stable eastern and northern parts of the country in an effort to revive economic activity. Here are the details of these and other stories making headlines across the borders.
Fighting in Sudan erupted in April 2023 and has since killed thousands of people and displaced millions. The Sudanese Federation of Industries estimates the conflict has cost over $50 billion in losses to the manufacturing sector, with about 1,800 industrial facilities damaged and 650 factories completely destroyed. While improving security in parts of central Sudan has allowed some companies to return, recovery efforts continue to be constrained by damaged infrastructure, shortages of energy and raw materials, and limited access to financing. About 10% of damaged factories have resumed production, underlining the scale of the challenge facing Sudan's economic recovery. Meanwhile, the global oil market is likely to remain under pressure into 2027, even if shipping through the Strait of Hormuz resumes. European think tank Bruegel says disruption to the strategic waterway through which about 15 million barrels of crude oil and 5 million barrels of petroleum products passed daily in 2025 has contributed to a record global supply shortfall estimated at 12.8 million barrels a day. Bruegel says restoring oil production and redeploying tankers, prolonging market imbalances beyond any reopening of the route. The think tank warns that Europe, which imports 97% of its crude oil, could face heightened energy security risk as fuel inventories tighten and concerns grow over jet fuel supplies. Finally, Japan's central bank has increased its main interest rate to a new 31-year high after a surge in global energy prices. The Bank of Japan raised its policy rate to 1% from 0.75%, a level not seen since 1995. The decision comes as some other central banks have raised the interest rates this year as the U.S.-Israel war with Iran pushed up the cost of living. Japan's interest rates were cut aggressively in the 1990s to combat the fallout from a collapse in prices of assets like property and shares. They had been near zero for 2 decades as prices fell and growth stagnated. The bank has been gradually raising its interest rate since March 2024, the country's first hike in 17 years.
And now in the sports arena, the Kenya Under-17 women's national team junior starlets delivered another dominant performance, thrashing Somalia 6-0 in their Group A match of the 2026 CECAFA Women's Under-17 Championship in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Faith Boke opened the scoring in the 15th minute before Beryl Awor and a brace from Brenda Ching helped Kenya race to a commanding 4-0 lead at halftime. Patience Waithera and Emily Athiambo added 2 more goals after the break to complete the victory. The result sends the junior starlets into the semi-finals, having scored 22 goals and conceded none in their 2 group stage matches.
Mebabatiza mwisho ameukamata ameukosa. Bell ameweka bao la 4 kimiani. Tuone mchawi mbio. Imewekwa close ndani kule. Oh, yes! Fadhi Ahmed ni left footer na mguu wake wa kushoto. Mpira ambao umerudi. Bado ni heka kwa mpira ndani, kula ni bao la 6.
Emmanuel Kibagandi and Consolata Kirubi were among the standout performers at the Nairobi County Swimming Association's third Masters Swimming Championships held at Kyoto School. In the overall team standings, Parkland Sports Club emerged champions after collecting an impressive 126 medals, including 78 gold, 34 silver and 14 bronze medals.
Claimed victory in the men's 25 to 29 years 200 meters butterfly after clocking an impressive time of 3 minutes 26.99 seconds. Eric Gungi finished second in the race.
The competition has been tough, a bit up there, but it's why we're here to compete. I fell in love with it. Compared to other sports, I got myself doing better in swimming, so I said why not give it my all.
In the women's 30 to 34 years 200 meters individual medley, Consolata Kirubi secured top honors after posting a winning time of 3 minutes 47.68 seconds. Tiffany Orangi settled for the second place.
If you listen to most older people, they started swimming because of either a health issue or the doctor told them you need to start being active. And just to hear those stories that people actually came to swimming and it has helped their health. Someone came from a surgery and the only thing they could do is swim, and now they're taking it as a sport. It's lovely.
The championship attracted more than 200 swimmers from various clubs and academies, highlighting the growth of popularity of master swimming in the country.
The numbers have increased and it's become very, very popular. They range from 25 years to 70 years old.
In the overall team standings, Parkland Sports Club emerged champions after collecting an impressive 126 medals, including 78 gold, 34 silver and 14 bronze medals. Next Gen Multisports Academy finished second overall, while Kesto Sports rounded off the top 3 positions.
Ved got their debut FIFA World Cup campaign off in remarkable style as they held Spain to a 0-0 draw in an intriguing encounter at the Atlanta Stadium in the USA. Spain's World Cup opener didn't go to plan, and they ended up collecting a single point in a match where they were seen as clear favourites to win. The Islanders land and a massive point to set the stage in Group H following the heroics of 40-year-old goalkeeper Vozinha, who left the Spaniards frustrated throughout the match. Saudi Arabia also held 2-time FIFA World Cup champions Uruguay to a 1-1 draw in another Group H fixture. Elsewhere in Group G, Belgium and Egypt settled for a 1-1 draw, while Iran